God took my biggest objection to church and just put it right in front of me. I kind of started to buy in, and I even noticed in those moments, like, this is really odd. Like, the thing that I didn't really like the most, all of a sudden I'm excited to hear more. You know, when I got to college, I was off and running. I was always looking for that thing. And I eventually, unfortunately, found that in drugs and alcohol. Eventually ended up hospitalized. I was in a coma for 2.5 months. I had a less than 10% chance of living. I ended up with a rare nerve condition in my leg as a result of the coma, and began taking opiates and began abusing opiates. And this went on for about 10 years until I got to a point where I couldn't afford to pay for the medication, and I turned to street drugs. And I was going to AA for about a decade, not sober. Every single day I wanted to stop. I pleaded with God. I just could not do it. Another friend of mine in my life, he invited me to church, and of course my first response, which I've learned now is a common first response, yeah, I'd like to do that one Sunday. And eventually, you know, I ended up walking through the doors of Emergence, and the second weekend, I believe, was when the first initiative started. I had been in churches before. You know, my thing against religion or anything, Christianity, anything, was they're always asking for money. I mean, looking back at it, God took my biggest objection to church and just put it right in front of me. And at the same time, he put Pastor Ryan there. And he didn't come at the first initiative from a money perspective. He came at the first initiative for me to explore, what are the things that I love? And then he told us to take a look at our bank account. And then I learned what I really loved. And then he preached about, you know, why it's important to give, backed up by, you know, the Bible. And the thing that really caught me most was when he said that true sacrifice always ends in joy. And I couldn't rebut that. And from that moment on, I was in. And that was my first time I really trusted God, because it wasn't that if I sacrifice, it brings joy. If we sacrifice, God gives us joy. Seeing the fruits of doing something biblical for the first time in my life encouraged me to keep going. You know, when I finally was able to surrender and recognize that the only path forward was through Jesus. By my 6th or 7th month coming to church regularly, I made a decision that I wanted to, you know, publicly declare my surrender to Jesus. Ryan's been talking recently about leaning in, and that is my story. I not only leaned in financially, I leaned into the church, I got involved, I joined a community group, which was hugely impactful. And it's funny, I recognized the first year I walked from the front door all the way to my seat in church, didn't know anybody. And that second year, by the time I got out of the church door, it took me about 25 minutes. I recognized it in that moment. I was like, wait a minute, why is it taking me so long? I was like, because I know people now. And I walked out and I just said to myself, thank you, God. And that's the most important part of all of this. I didn't do it, He did. And He will continue to do great things for us as long as we continue to seek Him, surrender to Him, and recognize that He is the all-powerful God. And He performs miracles. I'm a personal example of that. Having a relationship with God today is the #1 thing in my life. And that's a sentence I never thought I would say in a million years.